Do you want your company to grow and your team to grow? Then maybe you need to make sure that you are also growing and stretching yourself, because if you're stale, so is everybody else. Hi, Shannon Waller here, and welcome to Team Success. Today, I want to talk about your team's leadership development. And it's really interesting because I work with a lot of team leaders in our fabulous team leader program. Love everyone in it. Obviously, strategic coaches, team leaders. And one of the things that's really interesting is how team leaders need to keep growing and developing. We're living in a rapidly changing world, new pressures, new marketplace environment that we're always in, new technology, again, that's coming down the pipe, and even new knowledge about people that emerges. So one of the things that I have become very clear on lately is how critical it is for team leaders to keep developing themselves. And when I say team leaders, I mean everyone who leads a team or leads a company. So if you own a company, if you're senior leadership, if you're middle leadership in a company, or you simply are someone who's very self-directed, this applies to you. And I think it's critical that we are actually aware of the fact that we cannot rest on our laurels, that we actually need to keep developing ourselves, because if we don't, we can get stale. And we can get stuck, and we can get locked into old ways of thinking, and we can get comfortable. That is one of the big things that I'm noticing with certain people. So I want to encourage you today to kind of take a look at, where are you comfortable? Where are you maybe getting stale? Where are you getting a little bit depleted in terms of your energy or your creativity? And then what is it that you could do to actually kind of boost yourself out? Now, I do want to acknowledge one thing. It is incredibly difficult to disrupt yourself. But I also know that we have a fabulous industry life cycle model, which I think applies to people as well, which is that, when you're first learning, you're kind of in the emerging stage. Once you sort of really get some traction, then you're in the growth mode. Then you get into what's called status mode, which, by the way, can be very satisfying for a company. When you've got status in the marketplace, it means that people know you. It means that people go to you for your product or service or experience. It means that you have a reputation in the marketplace. And the same is true with leadership. You have a reputation, you have a skill set, you're acknowledged for that. But I always value contribution over status. So there is a danger of moving into depleted. And this is where you run out of energy, you run out of momentum, you run out of inspiration, and you stop growing. And then it's one of those things where you either bypass yourself, disrupt yourself, or someone else will do it for you. And that is never fun. You want to be the author of your own disruption. You don't want someone else disrupting you. I do think it's challenging for us to recognize when this is what we're hitting and this is what we're running into. It kind of is a leadership ceiling of complexity. And I'm all for everyone doing their unique ability, what they love to do, and what they're best at. But I'm also really keen on the fact that you're still growing, you're still challenging yourself, you're still experimenting with new things that you haven't done before, which we all need to do. And that when you first try something brand new, most of us are really bad at it. It's like, I don't know how to use AI well. I don't know how to use the prompts. I don't know how to necessarily coach people when they don't want to do what I'm suggesting. I don't know how to do course corrections. I'm not sure how to handle this type of a conflict. Never dealt with this HR issue before. There's all sorts of things that we face, if not on a daily basis, probably a weekly basis or monthly basis, that's challenging. And it takes a certain mindset to lean into that and to go, wonder what I can learn from this. No, it's not comfortable. It may not necessarily be fun, but at the same time, this is interesting for my leadership development. Again, so it's just keep growing. Be very conscious of yourself. Are you in the status mode? Are you maybe getting depleted? And if you do notice that you're finding more things being irritating, or that people are irritating, is a really good clue that that's the case. You're finding yourself resistant to learning new things, to learning new technologies, to doing things that are faster, easier, cheaper, and bigger. If you find that you prefer your old systems rather than learning the new systems, then you kind of might need to take a hard look in the mirror and go, do I still have the energy for this? Do I still have the motivation for this? Do I need to pause? Do I need to take a vacation? Do I need to take some free days? Do I need to take a sabbatical? Or do I need to change career course entirely? That might be something as well. And I just really want to acknowledge and appreciate how hard it is to do this for yourself. Which is why, and in terms of thinking how you take action on this, is you actually put yourself in an environment where other team leaders are also growing. It is hard to coach yourself. I have coaches. I'm in the strategic coach program. I go to the 10X with Chad. I've got another personal coach, an energy coach. And so I get coaching because I can't coach myself, and I coach all the time. I'm coaching in 2-hour virtual segments. I'm coaching all day in person, all the things. I'm doing speeches. I love coaching, but I don't have the insight on how to coach myself. I can have some clues, but really someone else can hold up the mirror way better than I can. So I love going to learn. I'm very particular about from whom I want to learn. Let's be clear. Not everyone qualifies as far as I'm concerned. But I keep intentionally putting myself in other environments. And I love the fact that I'm actually one of the people who gets to do that for other people. I love coaching what I call my 10X team leaders in the team leader program. And for me, I just really appreciate when people are willing to put themselves on the line, to think new thoughts, and bottom line, to think about their thinking. It's easy to think about things. It's easy to think about people. It's easy to think about other people's thoughts, aka books and education. But to think your own and to put your own self on paper and examine your thinking and decide to take action on it, that's for special human beings, which is hopefully you as you're listening to this. So I just want to kind of coach you or advise you to make sure that you're putting yourself in environments that will stretch you with people that you like and respect and trust. You want to find a group or a coach with whom you feel safe, that is honest, that is authentic, that has integrity. They can be in your industry. I find it doesn't really matter. I just need someone who's got insight into people, into leadership, has some knowledge about those particular issues that I might be dealing with, and who helps ask me good questions, and not based on how I feel or whether or not I like the question, but what is actually going to help me grow. That is the main success criteria. And again, I'm particular about from whom I want coaching, but it's so exciting. I mean, I get to go to a lot of conferences and I often speak at them. One of my favorite things about going to conferences is sitting in other people's sessions. I'm like, oh, what can I learn from this? I love taking notes. I love things on leadership. I love learning new aspects of things I have some knowledge of, but I would love to go deeper. Like, I'm a learner and I love learning and I love being around other people who are also learning. That is so gratifying. So when I get to go to KolbeCon, or if I go to the EOS Worldwide Conference, those are two that come to mind. And then I get to go to lots of other ones too. Genius Network is another one. When I can learn from people who have kind of similar takes on the world, they're working with entrepreneurial companies, they understand the dynamics of that, then I'm extra curious. I want to know, what's their take on things? Does it land with what I know to be true? Can it help me deal with this particular challenging situation? And I'm kind of conscious about that. I mean, I like to, as I call it, stock my quiver. I always want to have resources and books and references and models and strategies available to help my clients and my friends grow in the way that they need to grow and they want to grow. But it's also really, really useful for me too. And I just think that's a really healthy way to be. I mean, if you're in the strategic coach program, then this is you, because you are a learner. And hopefully you've got your team or your team leaders exposed to some things too. I get to work with a bunch of team leaders in on-site programs, both in person and virtual. And it is so dynamic. It's so fun to be able to do a deep dive with a leadership team and then actually make the tools and the concepts and the mindsets relevant for them and really personalize it. It's one of my very favorite things to do. So that's what I'm talking about. Again, you have to be intentional about this. It's an investment. You have to be willing to make that investment. Make sure you know yourself. Make sure your team knows themselves. Make sure your leadership knows who they are so that they can break out of boxes. We get comfortable. I've been with Strategic Coach since 1991. That's a really long time. It'd be so easy to fall back on certain habits that I have. And I'm sure I do. I am not immune from this, by the way. And then I work with a lot of other people who've been with the company for a long time. So we want to stay fresh. And I think you want to keep your own thinking to be really fresh too. So I just want to encourage you to keep learning, to keep stretching yourself, to keep putting yourself in slightly uncomfortable situations with people you respect and trust. Don't get me wrong, but make yourself think. Examine your own thinking, question yourself a little bit, and stretch yourself, because your company is not going to grow unless you're growing. And you can't really help other people grow unless you are growing. And this is going to be intellectually, like cognitively. How are you feeding your brain? What are you learning that's new? How are you pursuing what you're really passionate about? You know, in terms of your heart, are you getting to know yourself better in that way? What is motivating for you? Are you aware of what motivates other people? What inspires other people? Like, are you connected at a heart level with what you're up to? Do you care? Because that's pretty vital. And leadership, by the way, requires caring, commitment and caring. And then, you know, how you best take action. And there's so many capabilities and tools and strategies and technologies to help us be incredibly capable. So you want to keep growing that too. And I think growing intellectually and growing in capabilities is easy. I think growing our commitment and our care is probably harder. You know, we're used to using our brains. We're used to learning new things. We're used to, you know, accumulating skills. But I think the other parts of it where you question, okay, what's really important to me here? What's really important to this other person? How can I learn how to pull out the best in people? Like, I'm really enjoying, and I've got a great author interview with her, Marlene Chisholm's book, No Drama Leadership. She's also got Stop Workplace Drama. And then also her most recent book, From Conflict to Courage. Brilliant stuff. This is an area that I am not strong in. I love having encouraging conversations. I'm great at pulling out what's best about people and maximizing that. I see what's working. Addressing what's not working and having clear, direct conversations, not mad, angry ones, but just having those, that's something I'm working on. Let me just put it that way, which is why I really like to choose to work with people who are really good at what they do and love to do it. It means I have to have fewer of those conversations, but sometimes course corrections are required. I certainly had my fair share when I was learning and growing as a team member and as a leader. So that's one of my latest quests, if you want to think of it that way. So what are the skill sets that you're really strong in? By all means, take a positive focus inventory of those things. And what are some areas that for you as a leader, you're like, okay, I'm really good at this part, not so great at that part. And so is it conflict resolution? Is it project management? Is it the people side, or is it the results side? People tend to go more on one than the other. People who are really great at analyzing the people issues sometimes don't focus as much on results. People who are really focused on results sometimes have to work really, really hard to have the sensitivity required for the people stuff. So even though, yes, I want you to do your unique ability, as a leader, we need to be at least competent in some of those areas. You don't have to be unique at everything, but certainly being able to give people course corrections, being able to read a profit and loss statement, you know, understanding the financials, really focusing in on results is a key part of success. And so, again, this will be part of a larger podcast on another date, but I am very keen on this, that we can get good. We may or may not ever learn to love certain things. I'm not sure if I'll ever love conflict resolution. However, I'm curious and I'm interested, and I love tactical empathy, and I love word strategies, like what to say when. That is food for my brain. And as far as I'm concerned, I can put that in this bucket. All the conflict resolution information, go, oh, this will help give me confidence and capability in situations right now that require a lot of courage. And I like doing that. I like becoming more capable and more confident. So that is my personal journey. I'm happy to share the resources from which I'm learning. But what is your next thing? That's my question for you. How can you stretch yourself a little bit? In what area do you want to stretch yourself? Because again, I just really want to reinforce that when you're growing, your company's growing and your team is growing. If you're stale, if you're depleted, if you're frustrated, if you're bored, that's just the very energy that you give off. And unfortunately, it's a little bit catching. So I want you to be your best, and I want you to bring out the best in everybody else. And I really think by keeping yourself sharp, expression is sharpening the saw, you know, being curious, being intrigued, challenging yourself a little bit, that is how you can actually lead yourself and other people into your bigger future. So I hope this is interesting, short and sweet. Just keep yourself fresh. Don't let yourself get bored. board entrepreneurs, board leaders are dangerous humans. We start fires just so we get to put them out. So I don't want you being, in that realm. Get yourself excited. Set a bigger goal that you do not yet know how to achieve. Make that commitment, develop the courage, which gives you the capabilities, which expands your confidence. So use the 4 C's to stretch yourself into your next level of growth. Because again, you as a leader are representative of what you want other people to be doing. So this is a chance to really show up for yourself and for others. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any thoughts or comments, I would love to hear them at questions@strategiccoach.com. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, here's to your team success.